Hey there, and welcome. So, have you ever found yourself just staring at a massive spreadsheet full of numbers and wishing it could just, talk to you and tell you what it all means? Well, if that sounds familiar, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on Tableau, a tool that's built to do just that: turn your data into a story. So here's our game plan. We're actually going to start at the end with the wow moment. Then we're going to reverse engineer the whole thing. We'll see how it all boils down to just 3 simple steps: connect to your data, analyze it, and then share it. Simple as that. All right, let's jump right in. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of how Tableau works, let's talk about why it's such a game changer. What does a finished product even look like? Okay, check this out. This is so much more than just a simple bar chart. It's a story. You can see instantly that EBSCO Information Services is the resource being used the most by a long shot. And see the color coding? The purple tells us students are the main users. This is what we're talking about: turning raw data into a visual narrative. You're getting answers in seconds, not spending hours digging through spreadsheets. And that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? How do you possibly get from that chaotic grid of numbers to a clear, compelling insight that anyone, and I mean anyone, can understand just by looking at it? Well, the answer is a tool called Tableau. The best way to think of it is as a translator. It's the translator between your complex data and your brain, which is wired to understand pictures. It's designed to let you see and understand your data in a whole new way. And the best part is you don't have to be some kind of coding genius to use it. The real power of Tableau comes from a surprisingly simple workflow. It's like a roadmap that takes you from that messy data all the way to that final aha moment. And here it is, the whole process, laid out right here. It really does boil down to these 3 things. First, you connect to whatever data you have. Second, you analyze it. That's the fun part. And third, you share what you found. That's it. That's the entire framework we're going to walk through. Okay, first things first. You can't visualize data you can't get to, right? So step 1 is all about hooking Tableau up to your raw information, no matter where it happens to live. And when I say no matter where it lives, I really mean it. Your data could be in a simple Excel file on your desktop, a PDF, or even a gigantic cloud database like Google BigQuery. Chances are, Tableau can connect to it. That flexibility is a huge, huge part of what makes it so powerful. Now, once you've pointed Tableau to your data, you hit your first big decision. Do you want a live connection, or do you want to create an extract? A live connection is exactly what it sounds like. It's talking to your data in real time. An extract, on the other hand, takes a quick snapshot of your data. Let's dig into what that actually means for you. This table breaks it down pretty clearly. With a live connection, your data is always up to the second fresh. That's awesome for things like a live sales monitor. But the performance really depends on how fast your database is. An extract, on the other hand, is a snapshot. It's almost always going to be way faster. And hey, you can even work on it offline, like on a plane. Honestly, for most day-to-day analysis, an extract is going to be your best friend. Okay, our data is connected. Now it's time for step 2, analyze. This is where the fun really begins. This is the creative part where we start playing with the data, asking questions, and actually building our story.
And here it is, the Tableau workspace. I know, it might look a little intimidating at first, but just think of this as your digital canvas. You've got all your data ingredients over on the left, and this big open space is where you'll literally drag and drop them to create your charts. It's way more intuitive than it looks, I promise.
So to build anything on this canvas, you really only need to get your head around 2 basic concepts: dimensions and measures. Seriously, these are like the Lego bricks for every single chart, graph, or map you will ever create in Tableau. So what are these Lego bricks? Well, dimensions, which Tableau color codes in blue, are your descriptive, qualitative things. They're stuff like product names, dates, or cities. They give you the what, where, and when. Then you have measures, which are colored green. These are your numbers, the things you can do math on, like sales, profit, or clicks. Really, the entire goal of analyzing in Tableau is just to see how a measure changes when you slice and dice it by different dimensions. That's it. So you've connected to your data, you've built an amazing visual, and you've found something really important. That's awesome, but it's completely useless if it just stays on your computer. The final, and maybe most critical step, is to share your story in a way that actually makes people do something. And Tableau gives you two great ways to do this. First, you've got a dashboard. Think of this like your car's dashboard. It brings a bunch of different charts together in one place so you can get a full overview. People can click around and explore it for themselves. A story, on the other hand, is more like a guided tour. It walks your audience through a specific narrative, step by step, to make a clear point.
Okay, let's talk about file types real quick. Now, don't get overwhelmed because there's really only one you absolutely need to remember: the packaged workbook, or the .twbx file. Just think of it like a care package. It bundles everything up together: your workbook, which is the blueprint, and the actual data extract itself. This means you can email it to anyone, and they can open it right up without needing to connect to your original database. It is, without a doubt, the gold standard for sharing your work.
This quote from Carly Fiorina really just nails what this is all about. The goal isn't just to make charts. The goal is to go on a journey from raw data to useful information and finally to a real, valuable insight. And that brings us to the most important point of all. The real value of a tool like Tableau isn't just making pretty graphs. It's about democratizing data. It's about taking the power of data analysis out of the hands of a few specialists and giving it to everybody: the person in marketing, the person in operations, the person in HR. It gives anyone the power to be curious, to ask their own questions, and to find their own answers in the data. And so that really just leaves us with one final thought. In all those spreadsheets and all those databases that you work with every day, there are stories hiding in plain sight. Stories about your customers, your challenges, and your biggest opportunities. The only question left is, what story is hidden in your data, just waiting for you to tell it?